Well, in Norway, one of the more defining things about Norway is the sexual equality, but there's also a high degree of sexual liberalism and also a high degree of secularity. So Norway's a very little religious society. And in prime time television, we've had programs about teaching women how to masturbate. We've had programs showing how to use sexual toys. So Norway has every Saturday a program for teenagers where they can ask any question about sex on live national radio. So I don't think asking our students is that difficult. They'll tell you pretty much how it is.
That's fascinating.
But that's not normal for Earth in general.
That's very unnormal for Earth in general. In some countries, people find that sex education is not a good thing. I'm told, I'm not sure about this, but I'm told that ex-President George W. Bush, when he was governor of Texas, tried to reduce the amount of sex education because of it not being proper or moral. One shouldn't teach children to have sex, but that's not what you have to teach people. People actually work out sex pretty much on their own. What they don't work out is how to avoid being pregnant or how to avoid getting a socially transmitted disease. So that's what one needs to teach people in general. Of course, there are other things you can teach people, like how to put on a condom or how to masturbate. That is a thing that one might have to teach young women.
And so the resistance comes from politicians who find protection and masturbation immoral?
Well, in Norway, no. So in Norway, actually, sex education is pretty good.
But in these other countries?
Well, in the more religious countries, that's often a feature of religion. It wants to control sexual behavior to a large degree.
Do you think that has an evolutionary basis?
I think religion exists to create in and out groups, but once you've got a ruling class, no matter who they are made up of, they'll want to control reproductive behavior because it's a competition. We all compete for mates. And if you're in a ruling class in small societies, controlling people's sexual behavior gives you some control over the population.
In terms of competing for mates, there's been some work that I saw. Do you know Terry Conley?
Yeah.
So Terry Conley did a lot of work that showed monogamy was just as good as non-monogamy.
What do you mean good?
Well, people seem just as functional in non-monogamous situations as they are in monogamous situations if they go about it the right way. Would you agree with that assessment?
Well, it depends.
Okay.
So if we're talking about consensual non-monogamy as polyamory, then yes, people who are that way inclined will probably be a little less jealous than people in average. And those people who find that that lifestyle fits them will probably appreciate having that possibility in their lives to a large degree.
Are they going against evolution?
No, but there's an important caveat here. A lot of communist groups in Europe tried to play out a non-possessive, open sexual relationship program in their communities, and a lot of them did not work out. So it's got to be consensual, and it's got to be among people who are that way inclined.
Can you give us an example of that? Are you talking about France or?
In Germany, to a large degree, Scandinavian countries, there were a lot of attempts at having a free, sexual, totally non-possessive approach.
And what happened?
A lot of violence and breakups of these communities.
Wow.
So people in general have a tendency towards being jealous of their partners having sex with others. But there is a large part of the population who are not, and who would appreciate having the possibility to have sex with others or live in open relationships. But that is not the typical pattern. But there is a lot of variance within sexual psychology for both sexes and for groups and people.
Is Norway a place where there is more or less jealousy?
That's an interesting question. I don't know if I've got numbers on whether it's more, but what we do find is that for continuous measures, the sex difference seems to be the same as for forced choice measures, and also larger, the sex difference is larger when we compare jealousy towards someone falling in love with another person or having sex with another person. So it does mean that for some areas, the sex difference is larger, but whether the actual levels are higher, some people have claimed that measuring continuous jealousy rather than forced choice, where you ask people, what's worse, your boyfriend, girlfriend having sex with someone or your boyfriend, girlfriend falling in love with someone? So the fact that we could study it means that maybe there's less jealousy in Norway because we weren't troubled by a ceiling effect. So a ceiling effect would mean that there was so high levels of jealousy that we don't get any variance that we can do the statistics on, because everyone says it's dreadfully awful. It's so bad, it can't get any worse. So if we ask, to what degree is sexual infidelity a problem? To what degree are you distressed by emotional infidelity? If there's a ceiling effect, it means you can't do any statistics with it. And we could. So maybe Norway is less jealous, but I don't know because I haven't really considered that question before.